Well, Leslie, good to meet you. Please come on in. Just that door right there. Well, Leslie, I'm so happy to meet you in person. I know Mr. V referred you to me. He told me a little bit about your background and everything he told me about you. You sound like a very interesting young lady.
Thank you, doctor.
And so I want you to really open up to me. I want you to really confide in me. I want you to share your struggles, your vulnerability, um, uh, in any area of life. You can be totally, everything we say is confidential. Technically, the only thing I have to report is if you plan on murdering somebody, which I'm sure is not the case. I have to report that. But anything outside of that, I don't have to report. Anything you've done, it's all in the past. I don't have to report it. So it's all in confidence. So the more you help me know you, and I want to know you really well, the more you help me know you, the more I can help you. So tell me what brings you in. I know you're going through a lot of stress at work. I know it has something to do with that, but I'm sure it goes beyond that. So talk to me and really express yourself to me. Be fully yourself.
So, yeah, I've been really stressed out at work. There's been a lot going on, work, personal, and it just kind of feels like it all starts to pile up at a certain point. Um, sometimes I don't know if how I feel about myself is good or bad. Am I doing the right thing? Sometimes I feel like I'm struggling, but I'm doing my best. And other times I feel like I'm kind of coasting through life, but I don't necessarily feel like I'm doing my best. I feel like I could be doing better.
Well, I like to tell people I'm 83 years old and I finally know what I'm doing. So I size people up really quickly, Leslie. You're a person that if you don't manifest your true identity, you're going to be depressed. If you don't feel you're serving a destiny or your calling in life, you're going to be depressed from it. In any kind of work environment, and I specialize in workplace stress, that's one of my specialties, although I have a niche with special individuals that Mr. V refers to me as well. If you're not manifesting your deepest calling from what I see of you as a human being, you're going to feel frustrated, depressed, and you're going to know that something's missing. I can already tell, just from meeting you for a few minutes, that you're not somebody that can lie to herself. I know that about you. You cannot lie to yourself. So you knew, well, you tell me already what you said. I know that you didn't really fit in there. Talk to me about that. What a truth, or am I right or wrong on that?
I definitely feel like I didn't fit in there, in a way. In other ways, sometimes I felt like I fit in a little too well. I knew that the life that most of these people had led that got them to where we were all at is not the same kind of life that I led, and I know that me coming here, it was an accident and all of that. And, that's kind of a struggle that I faced a lot of times was, I'm not like these other people that are here, but then at the same time, I feel like we're exactly the same. And I'm here actually more so than maybe they need to be here. And that was always one thing for me is, am I here to help, other people? Am I here to help myself? Are we all here for a different purpose, but the same purpose? And that was something that was really hard for me because there was a lot of times where I was having a great time and I felt like I shouldn't be because I should be punished right now. I'm in punishment, and that was really hard for me was being able to enjoy myself while I was there, being able to allow myself that freedom to feel like.
Let me interrupt you 1 second. A couple of things I already see. From those kind of way you're talking about things, you're already looking at the purpose of why you're there, why they're there. That's pretty deep. And I can tell also from our eye contact and the way you speak that you're a deep person. You're a deep. Yeah. Now, we have to understand that the world is controlled by chats, people who don't like to go deep. That's why I feel not why it wasn't a fit. You're a deep. In fact, I suspect you're a deep emotionally and intellectually, just the way you're speaking and what I'm picking up from you. But when you talk about being punished, tell me what that means. I was perplexed by that.
I think it just, I know I messed up. I know I made a mistake. I know somebody got hurt, and I would never purposely try to hurt anybody. So that's been really tough on me. But at the same time, I feel like as you go through life, you have to enjoy every moment, every chance that you get. And sometimes it's hard when you feel like you should be punishing yourself for something you did wrong.
Or we need to go right away to this wrong thing you did. I need to hear more about that. Where you then feel you shouldn't be enjoying yourself, where you should be punished. What was the wrong thing you did, given that you don't want to hurt anybody, but it sounds like you did? Tell me about that, please, Leslie.
Um, so uh there was a car accident. And it was one day after work. I had a long day, and we all, the whole office went out to go get some drinks, get some food, and it uh nothing crazy or anything like that. It was a Thursday, so we still had to work on Friday. We went out, we had pizza, we had a couple drinks. And on my drive home, I got into a car accident. My car accident left a car disabled in the center divider. On the other side of the freeway, there was a motorcycle driver who was coming down. They think that he didn't realize that the car was disabled because he went full speed. There was no skid marks or anything. He didn't try to brake, and he passed away on impact. His accident was a few minutes after my accident and everything like that. But the way the law is written, if my accident hadn't been there, he wouldn't have had anything to crash into. Because of my accident, he passed away. And, that's really hard to deal with, thinking that somebody is not here any longer because of the actions that you took, and for me to know that because of my actions, somebody got hurt, seriously injured, and is no longer here. That's something that's really difficult for me to sit with, and to know that I had any part of responsibility in that.
I see the tears in you. I can see the remorse in you. Um, you're obviously a very sensitive individual. You didn't try to excuse it. A lot of people make excuses. In fact, most people in prisons will tell you they're innocent.
It's true.
Yeah, they'll tell you they're innocent. You're not saying that. I can see the remorse, the regret that you had. And it tells me that you're a deeply loving and caring person. Deeply loving, deeply caring, deeply sensitive to the needs and reality of other people. Tell me if that's true about you.
I think that is true about me. I think that I've always felt very empathetic towards people growing up. And when I was younger, I could physically feel other people's emotions around me. And, that was always something that was very heavy and hard for me to deal with. I didn't understand it then, and I didn't come from a family or background where that was something that, maybe was a belief that was had or anything like that. So that was always very difficult for me to be very sensitive towards people. And I always tried my best to make sure that I included everyone, that I made sure everybody felt comfortable, in a time where, growing up in the 90s, it was more common to make fun of people than it was to include people. That's never how I was. I always wanted everyone to be happy. My favorite thing in the world is making other people happy. So to know that not only did I hurt somebody, but their family members and the people that are left behind to have to live with the loss, that's really difficult, knowing that I can never make it okay for those people again. What has happened can't be undone. And I think that'll sit with me forever.
I see the sadness in you. I see the tears. I'm glad you showed me the tears. I see you let yourself feel what you're feeling. You let yourself experience what you're experiencing. And I'm glad that you allow me to see that. Did you ever get a chance to talk to any of the family members afterwards or anybody about that person?
No, unfortunately, I wasn't allowed to speak with anybody about my case or anything while we were going through trial and all of that. So it was something that was left unresolved. And the last day of what would have been right before my trial, and I pled guilty. I never had a chance to open up or to speak to anybody about it. I never, you know, for my family and people that were close to me, that's not something you really discuss. It's you keep your feelings close to you and you don't really share. Um so it was kind of difficult that I could never really let it out, and I never really wanted to burden myself on other people and have them feel bad because I feel bad, and who knows how they feel on the inside.
Well, you've shown what a beautiful human being you are, that you don't even want to burden people with your inner reality, that you feel that much remorse. And you're sensitive not only to his passing, but what it did to the family. I know what Mr. V told me, that you did some time. Tell me a little bit about your situation. I'm sure you must have been a very unusual prisoner. Why don't you talk about that?
It's funny that you mention it because it's not something that I would have ever noticed or picked up on. I always feel like I'm just like everyone else. But from almost every um CO or prison guard or counselor, anyone that I've come across, they always have the same reaction, and it's always a little bit of surprise or shock, and always saying, what are you here for? You don't look like any of the other people here. You don't belong here. What are you here for? And it's always so strange because it's always the same reaction, and it doesn't matter what the person looks like, what their background may have been, anything like that. It's always the same reaction. And when I tell them why I was there, the reaction is always like, "Oh yeah, you definitely don't look like this type."
They were paying tribute to your goodness that they see in you, that I see in you. They were paying tribute to the goodness they see in you. And somebody as beautiful and good as you are wouldn't want to hurt anybody. It shows that you don't mean anybody any harm. You would rather be harmed yourself than harm anybody. That's what I see in you.
Yes.
And so they saw that. They knew this is something different than what the people are here around. So in that way, I won't take it as an insult or a compliment. They were recognizing your goodness as I recognize your goodness and your beauty. They saw the beauty and the goodness of your heart as I do. We could feel it. Tell me about how life was like. Make some good friends. What happened? How much time did you do? How did you really feel when you were there? Your true thoughts, your feelings, your struggles. I'd like to know. I want to know that about you.
So I think for me it was a little bit of it was a little bit bittersweet because there was obviously times where I missed my family, I missed being home, I missed all of the things that I knew, my life was passing me by while I just sat here. Um, but then at the same time, I kind of immersed myself into the life and, getting to know everybody there, and just so many beautiful souls that just needed somebody, and maybe if they'd had that person while they were out, maybe they wouldn't be there. I don't know. But I knew that it made me feel better and kind of took me away from my own misery to be there for somebody else, to hear their story, to let them talk to me. So I'm Hispanic. And I got really close with a lady in there. She was a white lady, very interesting lady. But there was just some things that didn't add up. There was some things, that she was telling me about that just I thought were a little bit interesting, but also a little bit suspicious at the same time. Um, and we got close. We were always around each other, and I've always been the kind of person that people feel like they can open up to, and they can, tell me their life story, whether I ask for it or not. And she was always talking about the injustices of what the government was doing, and just always had one story or another to say about all the things that were going wrong. And she said that she was a part of a group that was going to try to correct it, make things better. I didn't really know what that meant, but she seemed very passionate about making these amends.
No, you are a person that I think people feel they can open up to. Just looking at your eyes kind of invites that. Your whole being invites openness towards you. I have a sense that you're a very honest individual, and that you're able to connect to people that way. It tells me that you don't judge people. You don't feel superior to people, no matter what their situation. I have that feeling about it because you recognize there are beautiful souls in prison. A lot of people look at it and say, well, that's the garbage of society. But to you saw the beautiful souls there. That's special. You're very special. Very special. And see some tattoos on you. Tell me about your tattoos.
So I have a few tattoos. These are some of my more special ones. This one was a nickname that was given to me by somebody actually that I met when I first went into prison. Somebody who helped me along. It was really hard at first, of course, as you can imagine. And they all called me Sugar because they said I was so sweet and not what they were used to. And it just was really, really special for me. It really helped me to transition in a way that I don't think I could have done on my own. And then the one before that I had already. It says Probitus Fidelitas Credo, and it means honesty, loyalty, and trust. And those are three of my biggest virtues. That's what I will give to anybody in this world as long as they give it back to me.
Yeah, I feel the loyalty in you. I sensed already the honesty. And of course, the honesty and the loyalty engenders trust. So I'm sure the people, wherever you are, including prison, including that discontented young lady that you were involved with in the prison, that she trusted you and she sensed that loyalty and that honesty in you. Because that's all part of the honor code. I wrote a book called The Teachings of Honor. I gave it to Mr. V. He shares it with his associates. And tell me your feelings about honor. Certainly loyalty, honesty, trust are all from the son of honor. You could say that those are raised with that son. And what I feel and what I'm hearing is I see you as an honorable person. Talk to me about yourself as a woman of honor.
Yes, Mr. V shared a lot of the honor movement teachings and some of the books and the writings. And it did strike a chord with me because I do feel that I always want to live my life with honor. I feel like you do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. And I think that it's so important to walk in that way in everything that you do, even if it's something as mundane as, how you wash the dishes and clean the kitchen to how you treat the homeless man at the gas station. All of it matters. And maybe nobody else sees it, but I feel it inside. And I feel like the universe sees those things. I think the universe sees those unseen things. And, I always try to, everything I do, I always try to live like that. And this lady that I got to know, I could tell she felt the same way that she lived in honor, but there was something about her too that made me feel like maybe not in the same way I see honor.
Well, Leslie, honor, trust, loyalty, and living a life of honor. That's, whether anybody sees it or not, that's an end in itself. Well, that's amazing. It's amazing that somebody of your age even enters into that way of being. Amazing. Much respect. How did things progress? I mean, how much time did you get? Usually that people are for good behavior or other circumstances. Tell me how much time you got, you served, and what happened in there that in that relationship with that woman and that you got close to, and your circumstance in prison, please.
So I was initially facing 19 years. And we couldn't believe that that could be a reality. Um, Towards the end, I realized that the county was not gonna do me any favors or anything like that. I knew that they were gonna throw the book at me, so I left myself to the mercy of the judge, and I admitted fault, and I let them know that I hoped that they took mercy on me, but ultimately it was my fault that there was no excuses, and I didn't want to put my family and his family through a trial. And I basically was going to accept whatever it was that the courts decided was fair. They ended up giving me 9 years at 85%. They considered me a violent felon. And I began my sentence right then and there. They, took me to the back, and that was it. I was in county for about 3 months before they shipped me up to Chowchilla. I was on a yard there, and that was the worst, like 3 or 4 months, just, trying to come back down south where my family was nearby, where I could, settle in where I was going to be staying at. And I began my sentence. I knew I could do a little bit better, but in my mind, I just said, all right, 9 years, and here we go. And I just told myself that there's a reason why this happened. There's a reason why I'm here. And whatever that reason, I'm going to go forward. I'm going to do my best, and I'm going to take everything from this experience that I can. I knew I was going to get something out of this and not just give. So I went in with my eyes wide open, just making sure I didn't want to miss whatever it was that I was here for. And I began my sentence, and I did about 4 years, at the prison. While I was in there, and I made friends with this lady, it was really weird, but I try not to judge anybody, and we continued our friendship. And one day, I get pulled into a meeting, and Mr. V is sitting in there. It's Mr. V, and then it's this other prison guard that he ran my building, and very fair, nice man, always did his best to treat us ladies nice. Really respectable. And in this meeting, Mr. V told me some things about this lady and about a possible plan that they had heard of, where this group was going to poison the water supply. And it was really surprising because I had never heard this lady say anything about anything, and we talked a lot, and she shared a lot. Did not hear her say anything specifically about any plans, about anything nefarious going on. Yeah, I just knew she was very unhappy, really upset with the way things were going. And she had this need for justice, to make things right, she kept saying. So when Mr. V told me what they thought the plan was going to be, I was very surprised, because she seemed genuine that she wanted to make things right, but this is not the way you make things right. So Mr. V basically told me the plan, and he asked me if I would want to help to, I guess, kind of infiltrate this group and to see what we could do about stopping this terrible tragedy from happening. So we came up with a little bit of a plan, and she was going to get out very soon, and they were going to set it up to where I would get out shortly after her. And it would be my job to try to continue our friendship once we were out there together, and maybe she would take me in, and then I could help infiltrate this organization. So I agreed to do it. And I should mention, through the whole process, this prison guard and I got very close, and once I was out, I ended up marrying him, which is kind of crazy. But it all happened kind of naturally, and it was really nice to have somebody from the outside. It felt like somebody who wasn't, in here, that looked at me like I was just a regular human being. I wasn't a prisoner. I wasn't scum. I just was a person. When I spoke to him, it felt like I was just talking to anybody else. I forgot that I was wearing stripes. So once I got out, actually, I was expecting this big old moment, freedom, what you picture in the movies when they throw the papers up, last day of school, and it didn't feel like any of that at all. It felt like nothing, which was kind of disappointing. But I also knew I had a mission, and, it felt like, okay, it's time to get to work, not time to enjoy. And they were going to pay me, which is great because I was starting completely over. So I got out. My friend came to pick me up, and she trusted that, whatever she wanted to do, that I was game for. And she knew I had been wronged by the system in my own way. So there was no problems there on her part. I did also see Mr. V and the prison guard Joe, which at the time was just kind of a familiar person to at least have in my corner at the time. And we began our plan. And it was, Mr. V was part of the CIA sting operation. And I was going to be a part of it too. And so come to find out, they were going to do these poisonings here, in America, but also overseas. It was going to be a big coordinated event. So it was my job to get all the information that I could to make sure that nobody got hurt off of this, but also that we can gather enough information that would put the people behind this, away so they couldn't hurt anyone else anymore. So we went about 5 months, just accomplish little things within the organization that we could do where I could show my value and that, I believed in the cause. About 5 months we were working on everything. And I don't know what it was that gave me away, but she found out that I was working on the inside. So she called me to a meeting spot. It was an empty parking lot, nobody around. It was sunset. It was getting dark, really scary area. And I go to meet her, and her whole demeanor has changed. She's completely different. It was a little unsettling. And even though I knew what I was doing, I didn't realize that maybe she knew what she was doing, and she was a completely different person. I didn't think that she knew what I was doing, and it became very apparent right away that she knew everything. And she took out her gun, and she pointed it right at me. She put her gun to my head, and she just kept saying, "You betrayed me, you betrayed me." And as she was screaming, "You betrayed me," all of a sudden, her head just blew up in front of me. There was blood everywhere. Her body fell over. I had no idea what was going on. And I started screaming at the side of her, a little bit relieved because I knew she would probably have shot me, but also very shocked. And in the distance, I could see a man walking away, and on his head, he was wearing a hat or something. All I could see was feathers. And he just kept walking, didn't even look my way or anything, all the commotion. He just walked away into the darkness. So I got out of there right away. I went home, I showered, I threw my clothes away. I didn't know what to make of it, who to call. So I called Mr. V and I told him everything that happened. And he said that he made sure to send his protector with all of his assets to keep me safe and to watch over me. And that must have been the man with the feathers. I never saw the man again. I never got a good look at him. Only the feathers. He seemed to have a black hat with feathers.
Leslie, that's like a story for the movies. That's definitely something for the movie. That's so dramatic. Nice girl like you involved with, sounds like a terrorist organization. And it's an amazing story. An international terrorist organization. I guess a lot of these organizations work by poisoning, or whatever they do, they think they're going to bring the government to its knees to some kind of negotiation or something to get power. So you were part of saving thousands, maybe millions of lives. So you participated in something very worthwhile, even though it took the death of somebody that you've become close to. Well, again, I feel you're an amazing individual. I have nothing but respect and admiration for the person you are, truthfully. And we'll use this to bring to a conclusion our session right now. I have to tell you, it's been a privilege to speak with you. I want you to know you could text me anytime. The whole goal of your therapy is for you to come back much stronger than ever. How do you feel about talking to me so openly and sharing this with me?
Honestly, doctor, I appreciate it. And I love that I can open up to you. It doesn't feel like I'm trying, like I am uncomfortable or anything like that. It feels like a relief. It feels like my soul gets to speak to, not just another person, but another soul, someone who not only just hears me, but truly sees me. And that means a lot because I don't have that in my life very often. Some of the closest interactions I've had with people were with some of the ladies in the prison, and I've never had a deeper connection. Of all the people that I've known my whole life, that deepness is not always there. And I feel that in you, and I thank you for that I get to have that release with you.
Well, I feel that connection with you as well, genuinely. And you sound like a woman of honor. I mean, everything about you, the service you put yourself in a risky situation. A lot of people say, no, I'll just serve the rest of my time. I don't want to do this thing. And you did it out of your love of humanity and a sense of duty.
Yes.
I mean, it's amazing that you were involved. Here you're a person that's totally against violence, and yet you got in a very violent situation to prevent more violence, to prevent more deaths. So I truly do find you an amazing human being, just so you know that. Is there anything else you want to say or ask before we conclude?
No, doctor, but honestly, I do want to say genuinely that, I know it's one of the commandments of honor, but I genuinely am so grateful for the power that I gained through hardship. And I've seen time and time again, the harder the time is for me, the better and more resilient I come out from it.
Wow. Truly, wow. You are a warrior. Well, it's been my pleasure to meet you. And feel free to text me anytime. And I'll see you in our next session.